but I suppose we should talk about our next series.
That's right. Our next series is Mitama Security Spirit Busters. They kind of had to remove the pun of the Japanese title while translating the name, which is Mitama Security. And they mentioned in the chapter, but like, it's kind of like the translating Yui Kamio's name into English. They kind of missed the pun of the Japanese, where it's like Yui Kamio wa Yui Kamio or something. This series comes to us by Surun Hatomune, who previously did a 4-volume series for Jump Plus back from 2017 to 2018, which ran about a year, ended up being 4 volumes, and now this is their first Shonen Jump weekly Shonen Jump debut. And this series is about a exorcist, basically, who is quite cowardly. He's very scared of ghosts, but he comes across this girl who has 100 spirits haunting her, named Renahaze, who goes to Altergeist high school, so pun on poltergeist there.
That was pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, this guy's very cowardly. It doesn't seem like he's totally good with his job, but he follows the girl because she notices a spirit kind of acting weird. It's stretching like its Achilles tendon, and because she noticed the spirit being weird, it starts kind of bothering her, running around her. And so he tries to help, but all he does really is like kind of agitate the ghost and make it more dangerous. But then eventually he gets scared enough to the point where he starts crying, and that kind of transforms him into a more badass guy, or at least a guy more capable of using like actual psychic powers and fighting. Like he enters the battle mode. And then so he actually does the exorcism. He kind of does like a bunch of wasteful, like flashy moves before actually finally shooting the guy. And then that pretty much solves the situation, but he returns back to normal, his cowardly self. But basically he moves in next door to the girl who has these 100 spirits behind her. You know, he's probably going to start his like security business outside his new like apartment. And now, yeah, he lives next door to the girl with 100 spirits. So that's basically the first chapter. And I kind of enjoyed it more after talking about it and, like, remembering the chapter than I did actually, like, reading it the first time. It's kind of like, right now it's a little bit one joke with this protagonist. Like, he's cowardly. He's a exorcist who's scared of ghosts, and he's really bad at his job. But then when he becomes like so scared and starts crying, he becomes badass, but then he also becomes really arrogant and just does a bunch of wasteful flashy moves before actually finally doing the job of exorcising the ghosts. But it is quite funny. I don't think like the main heroine has too much personality so far, outside of like kind of reacting as just the straight man to him. But I think it is interesting that she has like 100 ghosts that are following her. I like the moment where like one of the ghosts is like noticing Mitama enter battle mode, and he's like, whoa. So he's the type of psychic whose powers via the act crying, and then he's... that was like a funny moment where one of the ghosts actually revealed they have a personality, and then apparently like they have a rigid line system that they're like being very respectful of following. So I think there's something to explore with that. Like, why are these ghosts all lining up behind her? Like, is there something like bigger going on with that? And maybe we get to know more of these ghosts that are following her. Maybe some are malicious, maybe some are actually kind of nice. So that could be kind of fun and interesting.
I thought this was pretty funny, actually. I don't know. I'm trying to think, because I feel like I kind of agree with your point about how, like, you know, I feel like this series so far does kind of run the risk of possibly becoming one note in terms of like, oh yeah, this guy is, that's the joke, like, oh, this guy's an exorcist, but he's scared of ghosts. Isn't that an oxymoron, or whatever you call it? A contradiction. There you go. But I don't know. I feel like the jokes were varied enough to where, like, I didn't get tired of the shtick anyway. Like, I don't know. This guy seems like a really interesting character so far, and how flashy he wants to be. Like, he's constantly, like you were saying, like, he's constantly doing these really wasteful movements, and like, when he first runs into Reina, like, he starts like just posing, and I don't know.
Yeah, he wants to be a badass, but he's just too much of a cowardly goober to like actually be cool. And then when he actually does get his power up and enter his battle mode, he's just so over the top that he also ruins his ability to be cool just by being, because he's so extravagant, he becomes lame. It's just funny.
I think I like this series so far because he reminds me so much of Jacko the Galactic Patrolman.
Yeah.
Like, this is basically like if Jacko gave up being a patrolman and thought, I'll give exorcism a try. Like, it's just there's so many like really good, like, funny moments in this. Like, I love when he decides to follow Reina, and like he like flips into his car. Like, I love stupid little moments like that. And then I did a count. It takes him 6 pages for him to like finally make the shot and take out the ghost that's attacking him. Like, when I was reading this the first time, I was like, okay, this power-up looks kind of interesting, and then, like, he starts waving around his gun, and it's one of those things where it's like, the longer it takes, you're just kind of like, boy, when is he gonna do this thing? Like, it just kind of got funnier, like, the longer he took to actually make his shot. So I feel like the comedic timing in this is pretty good so far. Like, I don't know, like, this guy seems like an interesting character for me to want to follow week to week. Like, I feel like I talk about a lot on here about how, like, most gag manga I have a hard time getting into because, like, I'm not following it weekly. But, like, I think this is the kind of thing I feel comfortable reading week to week, and to where I feel like, oh, well, I'm going to get a laugh out of this every week,
Yeah, I hope it continues to, like, vary up the situations and jokes, so it's, like, it's not just all the same thing, where it's, like, at first he's cowardly, and then he becomes more confident in his battle mode, but then he does all these extravagant, wasteful posturing, and waste time until he actually does his job and does the exorcism. But it is funny in this first chapter. I do like all the crazy poses he does. It is so ridiculous and amusing.
I also love the bit where, like, he tries shooting at the ghost the first time, and he goes, "Oh no, they dodged it!" And it's like, like he shot in the wrong place. Like, I just love little moments like that. Like, this series has a sense of humor that, like, I think really gels with me in particular, and I don't know, like, I'm definitely gonna keep reading it for sure. So
yeah. Honestly, it does, like, the character of Mitama is very different from the character in Renee, but kind of the humor of this manga kind of reminds me of Renee. And then the Rena, it does kind of remind me of Sakura from Renee in terms of being kind of a stoic character who kind of just reacts matter-of-factly to the weirdness going on around her, but doesn't, like, have, like, these shock face moments or, like, get really excited or emotional or upset or anything. She just kind of blankly reacts at everything that's going on around her, and it's like, what is this weird thing that's happening? So I kind of do like that dynamic. And yeah, I am actually interested in one thing that is kind of not commented on too much in this first chapter, but there is a moment where Renus hits Mitama when he's being, like, possessed by a ghost, and it's not really commented on, like, why she's able to do that. So it's kind of interesting. Maybe that could be something explored later on, that maybe she can actually fight ghosts, which would be kind of interesting.
I agree. I felt the same way. Like, I wasn't sure if that was because, like, oh, maybe she has, like, a hidden potential or something, or it was just like, or maybe it's just meant to be a gag. I don't know. But Yeah, you never know. That could be something.
I mean, surely there's some reason that's going to be explored as to why there's 100 ghosts following her. So, but perhaps that's definitely a interesting hook to kind of explore going forward in the series. So, yeah, I do kind of like the series more after thinking about it and talking about it, and then it is actually funnier the second time around going through the chapter and then remembering all the funny stuff. And I did enjoy it the first time around, but I wasn't like wowed by it. But now I'm like, yeah, I could definitely continue this. It is a sense of humor I jive with, and I do like the dynamic. I do like the silliness of it.
But I guess in general, how do we feel about this round of new series? Pretty positive, I'd say, right?
Yeah, I like both of them. I think Yosakura Family is definitely the one of the two that I'm super excited about and I hope really does well. But yeah, I like Mitama Spirit Busters, and I do like good comedies. So hopefully, this might be a comedy that sticks around.
But I guess for anybody who is interested in reading both of these series and checking them out, at the time of this recording, the beginning chapters of these, at least until they pass chapter 3 or 4, should be available for free on Shonen Jump and on Manga Plus. And so, definitely go check them out while you can, or at least while they're free. So, we'll definitely leave links to both of these series in the show notes for anybody who wants to check them out, because I think it's safe to say we both really recommend them.
Mm-hmm.